Hello everyone and welcome. I hope you are having a good weekend. So today I'm going to share with you a new spring summer palette. I think it kind of crosses over, and I've been through my painter's colour diary and I've decided to use some Shinhan paints, and these are from Korea. So that's what we're going to have a look at. So let's just do that. So here we are. I looked in my painter's colour diary to see which colours I had, and then I pulled out my, which one is this? Let's have a little look. This is the Sea White of Brighton Plein Air Sketchbook. It's the one that I do lots of swatching in, and I decided on these particular colours, which it's kind of getting washed out a little bit, but I decided on Jaune Brilliant, which is PO20, PY74 and PW6. Now PO20 is cadmium orange, PY74 is arylide yellow, and PW6 is titanium white. It does seem to be getting a little bit, it's the sunshine coming through. Anyway, then I chose cadmium yellow pale, which is PY35, and that is basically cadmium yellow light. It's usually called, but here they've called it cadmium yellow pale. Followed by leaf green. Now that has got PY74, so it's got the arylide yellow in it, but it's also got PG7, which is phthalo green, and PW6, which is titanium white. I've chosen Davies grey, and in this brand it is PBK31, which is perylene black, or because it leans towards green, sometimes it is perylene green, called perylene green, but it's the mix of those that is what's important. PG17 and PG17 I'm not so sure about. PW6 I think is titanium white. Moving on, we've got olive green, which has got PY74, which is our arylide yellow, PG7, which is phthalo green, and PW6, which is titanium white. Then we've got turquoise blue, which is PG7, which is phthalo green, PB28, which is cobalt blue, and PW6 again, which is titanium white. Cobalt blue next to that is just PB28, and lilac is PR122. PR122 is quin magenta, together with PV23, which is dioxazine purple, and PW6 titanium white. Then on the bottom row we've got shell pink, which is PW6 and PR9. So our titanium white and natural rose madder. Brilliant pink next to that has got the titanium white and PR209, which is quinacridone red. Vermilion hue, PO16, which is vermilion. Neutral tint, which is PBK11, which is Mars black, and PB66, which is indigo. So those are the 12 colours that I have chosen, and then I did some mixing. Just going to move that a little bit. There we go. A bit better. And you can see that with these mixes it really mutes those colours down, and there was no brown in there. So if I bring that a bit, we bring that a bit closer, or does it wash it out? No, it washes it out. Okay. So we've got neutral tint, and that was a mixture of vermilion and Davies grey there. That makes quite a nice dark brown. Then if you want a reddy brown, vermilion and Davies grey. If you want more of a burnt sienna type colour, I suppose, vermilion and cobalt blue work really well. So yes, lots of other mixes there that are really quite nice, that give you much more toned down colours than those. So the palette that I decided to put them into was a new palette, which looks like so, like this. And this one I got from Amazon, and I will put the link below. It's got a little bit of felt, spongy, well, sponge, I suppose that is really. A little bit of sponge in there, which protects the paints when you put the lid on. It actually came with 20 full pans, but you can choose to have 40 half pans. I haven't put all 20 full pans in. Let's put this up the right way. So you can see I've put my colours across here like so. And then that gives me space for a couple of water brushes. I've added, what was this? White gouache. And then I've added this little Colero gold in there as well, which I think makes quite a nice little set. And when I look at that, it just says spring to me. So I'm really happy with this little latest tin. And because it's metal, it's going to fit on my sketching companion that I have. Yeah, I've done 2 videos. So I've got, it's Just Go Sketching. There's a small bag and a bigger bag, much bigger bag. And the Just Go Sketching companion has magnets on it that these will fit on. I will quickly, I got one kind of to hand. Let me just see if I can very quickly find. There we go. If I quickly bring my little Just Go Sketching bag in and pull out the Just Go Sketching companion, you will see what I mean, because it's got magnets on it. And even though this is quite a big, this isn't going anywhere, and then my sketchbook goes in there. I've done videos on the Just Go Sketching equipment before. Oh, that's really, that is really strong. So that is my spring summer palette that I've decided to use, and I'm going to use it today. Well, as it happens, where I was swatching all the colours out, they're on this palette, so I'm probably going to be using this palette mostly to use some of that up, but just in case, I will have this at the ready. But we're going to be doing our next postcard, which is our postcard number 5. And the reference picture, so let me just add that in. There is the reference picture that we're going to be using, and it's actually an unsplash picture by Red Charlie. So that's the reference picture that I'm going to be using to do today's postcard number 6 with. So let's just bring them down there a little bit, and a little bit off screen. Oh, I don't know, maybe, no, that's not going to work. Oh, maybe if I move, hold on, if I move that over a little bit, I can maybe put my mixing palette there, and then you might be able to see the mixing palette as well. I'm just bringing my water in. Woo, there. It's a little bit off the camera, but never mind, that will be okay. And I'm pulling out a round size 8. I might actually possibly use a size 4. Just getting a cloth there ready. Will I need anything else? Let's get a little, we'll get a little rigger out as well. There we go. But I probably won't use anything else other than that. And you can see on here I'd already started mixing some sort of yellowy browns and things. So I'm going to start by doing the, I suppose you might call it a yellow ochre colour, and get that part in first. And this one I haven't practiced, so we will just have to see how we go. So let's just take some of this brown that I've already mixed, and we'll add some of the cadmium yellow to it, I think, to see if we can, that's gone a bit too yellow. Let's add a bit more of the brown. Okay. I might actually add a little bit of the Jaune Brilliant as well, just to try and get this colour that I want anyway. I mean, obviously you can use the colours that you want, basically. So I don't need to do it all because we've got that dark green bit in the corner here. But we can see that it kind of goes across a little bit, doesn't it? And so I want to get some of that. In fact, that really isn't yellow enough, I don't think. I'm going to add a bit more yellow in there. And let's do it on the paper because we can. I'm just going to mix it in a bit more so that there's a bit of light coming through. So that gives us that kind of light part, and then we need this darker part here, bearing in mind this is what I call the undercoat as usual. Let's call it the undercoat. Why not? What am I using here? I'm using the olive. No, what am I using? Yes, the olive green. So we'll pop a bit of the olive green in for those trees there. And then, do I leave that white or shall I make it a very pale blue? Let's use a tiny bit of the turquoise, but I'm adding quite a lot of water to it. To make it quite light. Okay, now on the reference picture around about here you can see that there is quite a white bit poking through, which is a tree trunk, and I'm just, that's too wet, I'll have to wait. Okay. But what we can do while we're waiting is to get some of these distant trees in. And I'm just going to add, actually I'll do it that way around. I'm adding some green to this neutral tint. And I want to see if I can just get, while it's still wet, get some trees in the background there, which we don't have to be precious about because They are just in the background, and we're going to be going over them, so it doesn't really matter what they look like, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then we've got quite a dark bit at the bottom here. Let's go back to my bigger brush, because that doesn't seem to be dark enough, does it? So I've just added a bit more neutral tint basically to get that a bit darker across the bottom there. So this is what I call the ugly stage of a painting, really, to be honest. It doesn't really look like anything much, and I really want to try and get some of that out, but that needs to dry a bit. So let's let that dry a little bit. Right, I think that's dried a little bit more. I just want to see if we can scrape some of the colour out and get that tree in there. So yeah, I think we've got a little bit going on there. Okay, I'm going to finish off drying this and then we'll be back. Right, well that's pretty much dry now. So I want to get a little bit more kind of going on with these trees, leaving some gaps. Obviously I've got to get my big tree in there. We just want it to be, and my brush is almost dry now, to be honest, but that doesn't matter, because I just wanted to get some more definition into the front there. So we've got that. I think we probably need maybe a bit of a lighter colour, and we need to get, I think what I might use, I'm going to use this. Now you don't have to have this brush, you can just use a very old brush, but it needs to be a really stiff one. And what I'm going to do is kind of stipple in some of these trees that are in the background, and you need your paint to be fairly dry when you're doing this, just saying, just so as you know. Okay, so we're just going to get some of that into the background there, and then let's dry that off so that we can then get our big tree that is coming up and across, which is right in our foreground. So everything else really is kind of more background. So let's just dry that off. There we go then, that's quite nice and dry. So I'm going to go for I think I'm going to go for a smaller brush. I'm going to go for a size 4, and I'm basically using the neutral tint because I'm then going to add white in, and because I'm right-handed I just might have to move that a minute so that I can get this tree in. So we've got one bit that's coming up and going that way, and then we have got this bit that's coming up and going across that way, And there's even another branch coming out, and a little bit there. We might have to make that a bit bigger. Let's just see if we can make that a bit bigger. Okay, and then we've got lots of little branches coming off, so we need to fill the space where those trees are in the background. Obviously we've got a bit more coming up here. Just get a bit more paint. There we go. So they don't quite go into that bit on the left there. Okay, but this is quite crowded around here, so we'll just fill that up a bit more. But it's just a reference photo. We don't have to do anything that is exact. So I think that is not too bad. But in order to, oh, I can probably add, let's go back to this one. And with this really dark green, almost black colour. So I've used the neutral tint and the olive green, but you can find something that is, you know, something similar. I'm just going to, I love this brush, it does all the work for you. I'm just going to bring out those leaves like so, like magic. Isn't that a great brush? There we go. So we've got that in, but I then need that all to dry and to take my brushes out of my water, because I'm really bad at doing that. Okay, back in a tick. Right, I think that is dry enough. Out comes our trusty Dr. PH Martin's Bleed Proof White, because I want to get the white bits on this tree in the front, and I want to get that bit a little bit whiter. So I'm going to use a rigger for this. And I don't want too much paint. I need it to be a fairly dry brush is what I'm going to say, because I want it to kind of skip over the paint that's there. And to do that you need quite a dry brush. So I'm just using my tissue that's slightly off screen to take some of the paint off of my so that we get some of that white in there. And then let's just go in here a little bit more to get that definition in there, and I might just add a few more touches of light through there, which makes it look a little bit better, I think. Do we need to go a bit further up with our white on here? I mean, it really is quite a dry brush that I'm using. But I think we've definitely got, we've got some light showing through there, haven't we? Well, I don't think that's too bad. I mean, as I said, this isn't one that I practiced before. So in a way, this is my practice one. And I'm not too disappointed with it. Let's just see what happens when we, if I move some of these. And let's put the lid back on my bleed proof white. Let us take the tape off and have a little look at what we've got. Well, I don't think that's too shabby as an, let's move that out of the way now, as an interpretation of that picture there. I think the sunlight is causing quite a lot of problems for me today, in that it's washing some of the colours out slightly, but I hope that doesn't put you off having a little go at this. My colours look a lot darker than they are on the screen at the minute, but there we go. Postcard number 5 in the landscape series. I hope you've enjoyed that, and if you have, then I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, you're perfectly welcome to put a thumbs down. Please subscribe if you can, and hit the notice bell if you want to know when I'm doing more things. I've got plenty more to show you, more things on order. And obviously we will carry on with our postcard theme. We've got one more to do in our landscape series, and then we'll be moving on to some animal postcards. So I hope to see you there. Have a good day. Have a good evening wherever you are, and take care.